Some flames no longer burn, but they were never truly extinguished. Amid forgotten lands where time has draped a layer of dust over every stone and crumbling step, signs of life still remain. Not in loud sounds, but in the subtlest of whispers. The wind threading through broken walls, the earth cracking as dry seasons arrive too early, and memories echoing softly from the depths of history. Part 2 is a journey backward through time, into places that once burned as bright as the sun, but now survive only as faint glimmers in humanity's memory. These are places where every ruin, every collapsed wall, every silent corridor tells a story. Not in words, but in a silence stretched across centuries. We do not come to awaken the past. We come to listen to it as a part of the present we have long forgotten. Spanning over 150 square miles in the heart of Xinjiang's desert, Ma Yadan emerges like a world no longer bound by reality. Thousands of weathered stone formations, twisted, towering, and uncanny, stand like the ruins of a kingdom long devoured by time. Some resemble crumbling watchtowers, others like ancient gates, all frozen in silence upon golden sands, as if waiting for one last soul to return and finish an unfinished story. At sunset, when the sky turns blood red, the land is drenched in fire. Wind howls through the stone corridors, creating strange echoes. Some say it's the voices of wandering spirits from an unrested past. Between the monoliths rise sand dunes up to 165 feet tall, curling like the spines of sleeping dragons, making the entire scene both surreal and majestic, as though it has stepped out of a forgotten myth. But Ma Yadan is more than geological wonder. It is a breath of legend. Ancient tales speak of a ghost city where the spirits of a lost dynasty linger among the rocks and dust. Once part of the Silk Road, this land carries over 2,000 years of trade, war, and spiritual echoes. Today, 5 archaeological ruins remain, like the exposed bones of a buried civilization. Every August, the Desert Festival brings a flicker of that ancient glory to life. Fire dances, Uyghur music, and sleepless nights beneath the stars. Visitors may drive 4x4s through stone labyrinths, camp among the dunes, or simply sit in the silence and listen to the wind that sounds like a voice from another world. Some report disrupted electronics, compasses spinning and strange lights drifting past stone towers, signs that science cannot explain. Today, Ma Yadan is recognized as a National Geological Heritage Site. But to dreamers and drifters, it remains something more. A mystical threshold, a doorway into the legendary heart of Xinjiang, a place not fully of this world. Rising from a boundless sea of grassland spanning over 580 square miles, Mount Daqin stands tall at 6,390 feet. A granite spear thrusts skyward, piercing the infinite blue. All around, waves of rolling steppe stretch endlessly, where 10,000 wild horses still gallop freely beneath open skies. A scene so vast, so fierce, that it feels as if ancient time has never left this place. At the mountain's base lies a 15-meter-deep lake, still and clear as glass. Its surface mirrors the drifting clouds, the sweeping grass, and the distant echo of hooves. But this is no ordinary lake. It is a sacred site where the Mongolian spirit communes with the Mother Mountain. To them, Daqin is a holy peak where warriors once turned to stone to protect their people. 6 small temples scattered across Itzi, slopes still burn with the fire of belief, passed down through generations. Every summer, the mountain awakens in the spirit of Nadam festival, as over 10,000 nomads gather, dressed in traditional garb, waving colorful flags. The air vibrates with drums, horse racing, wrestling, kumi throat singing, and ceremonies echoing across the plains, keeping ancient rituals alive. Travelers here can ride on horseback across the grasslands, hike to the summit for panoramic skies, or sip warm, creamy mare's milk. Not just a drink, but a taste of nomadic soul, distilled through 1,000 years. And at midnight, when the steppe turns utterly silent, some say they've seen a flickering light atop the peak, as if the spirit of a fallen warrior still watches over the land. In that moment, it feels as though time, earth, and spirit have merged into one. Today, Mount Daqin is more than a mountain. It is a living symbol of Mongolian culture and ecology, a protected grassland sanctuary where wildness, legend, and freedom still remain untouched. Mount Wutai rises like 5 celestial altars, silently floating above the sea of northern clouds. Each of its flat summits, ranging from 8,200 to 10,036 feet, is not sharp like typical mountain peaks, but open and level, like an outstretched hand welcoming wind and light. Ancient poets believed this was where immortals descended to earth. The entire region is cloaked in 200 square kilometers of pine forests, laced with over 1,000 species of wildflowers blooming softly through thick mist, turning the landscape into a sacred fairy tale suspended in time. But Wutai is more than a wonder of nature. It is one of the 4 sacred Buddhist mountains of China. Scattered across its slopes are 68 ancient temples, many over 1,000 years old, each devoted to Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of wisdom. These temples, each with its own architectural spirit, lie hidden among trees and clouds. Here, temple bells echo like whispered mantras, drifting across heaven and earth. In the 6th lunar month, thousands of pilgrims arrive carrying prayer, beads, lotus candles, and silent intentions, offering their hopes to the mountain wind during the grand Buddhist festival. Visitors to Mount Wutai may hike 5 kilometers along misty ridges, visit secluded temples, light sticks of incense, or sit in meditation where the silence is so deep, even thoughts dissolve into the air. And at 5 a.m., when the first light strikes the summit, a golden halo appears. A moment of illumination, said by ancient monks to be the Bodhisattva's gaze watching over humanity. Today, Mount Wutai is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, not only for its ethereal beauty, but for the spiritual depth and cultural soul it has nurtured for thousands of years. A bridge between nature, enlightenment, and the wisdom of the East. Rooted deep in Sichuan's heartland, Emei Snow Mountain rises like a celestial gem, its summit piercing the sky at over 16,400 feet. Cloaked in year-round snow that glows a pure white beneath sapphire skies. From afar, the mountain seems like a frozen breath of silence, suspended mid-air, too delicate to disturb. A stillness so perfect, you dare not breathe too loud. Below the peak stretches a 15-mile-long valley, bursting into color each spring, with rhododendrons in full bloom, red, purple, white, yellow, a wild tapestry, painted once and never again. Hidden within 150 squares, kilometers of primeval forest, 10 hot springs steam softly, their mists weaving through the trees like a dream unfinished. To the Tibetan people, Emei is more than mountain. It is a sacred being, where a celestial maiden once transformed herself to shield the village from evil and disaster. Hundreds of prayer flags line the mountain's ridges, each flutter, each color, a whispered offering to the sky. In August, the mountain awakens for the Harvest Festival. Traditional music echoes through the trees, dancers circle smoky yak butter fires, and ancient rites fill the air, blurring the veil between worlds. Visitors come not to conquer, but to listen, to trek 6 miles through fields of flame-colored flowers, to soak in hidden hot springs, to camp beneath a galaxy of stars where even a falling leaf sounds like a secret being told. At night, some say they've heard faint voices in the forest, as though the celestial maidens are still there, whispering old stories to those still enough to hear. Emei is not a destination for the hurried. It is a place for wandering souls, seeking awe, sacredness, and stillness, the very things this world seems to be forgetting. Amid the vast Tibetan highlands, Emei Snow Mountain rises to over 18,000 feet, piercing the billowing white clouds like a stone pillar connecting heaven and earth. From a distance, the mist swirling around its summit resembles a galloping mane of a celestial horse, and ancient Tibetans believed this was the steed of the gods racing across a windless sky. At the mountain's feet lies a 30-kilometer-long green valley where over 500 yaks graze freely beside shimmering glacial rivers. Silver, ribbons weaving through the grasslands. The scene is both majestic and profoundly serene, like a sacred painting that breathes. To the Tibetan people, Bima is more than mountain. It is a holy being, the embodiment of a divine horse sent by the Bodhisattva to guard the spiritual balance of land and soul. Along its slopes stand 10 ancient monasteries, some over 800 years old, resilient through wind, snow, and time. Here, monks chant, meditate, and preserve centuries of sacred wisdom. Each September, the mountain becomes a place of pilgrimage. Thousands gather for the festival of peace, bringing colorful prayer flags, bead malas, and silent hopes, letting their prayers ride the cold winds into the sacred sky. Travelers may visit mist-veiled monasteries, marvel at glacial streams glittering in the sun, walk through whispering valleys, or camp beside crystal-clear brooks where every sound seems humbled by the grandeur of earth and sky. And at exactly 1 a.m., some say they've seen a flickering light gliding across the peak. The phantom form of the divine horse, galloping silently through the night. For those who believe in miracles, this is a moment you never want to leave. Today, Bima is not merely a mountain. It is a spiritual axis, a glacial sanctuary, a place where nature, culture, and faith breathe together in one surreal rhythm across the skies of Tibet. Stretching across Sichuan and Yunnan, the Hangduan Mountains rise like a titanic wall of ice and stone. Over 400 snow-capped peaks, each soaring between 13,000 and 18,000 feet, piercing the sky in silent majesty. Threading between them are gorges plunging 10,000 feet deep, winding like blades through cliffs as sharp as myth. From above, the entire range looks like a slumbering dragon, its body unfurled across the clouds, its spine lost in the mist and shadowed ravines. Suspended between two worlds, the wilderness. Here is both brutal and dreamlike. More than 1,000 square kilometers of untouched forest blanket its valleys, where in spring, thousands of wild rhododendrons erupt into bloom. A sea of color from deep crimson to lavender to pale gold. Along the vast slopes sit 15 small temples, humble and ancient, like soft notes within a symphony of rock and wind. To the Tibetan and Naxi peoples, Hangduan is sacred. A mountain of legend, where warriors once gave up their form to guard the balance of heaven and earth. In June, the Rain Prayer festival fills the valleys, solemn yet radiant, where humans, nature, and spirit become one breath under the clouds. Adventurers can trek 12 miles through the gorges, climb mist-veiled cliffs to behold the towering peaks, visit ancient Naxi villages, or camp beside ice-fed glacial rivers where silence feels alive. Some claim that at night, from deep within the gorges, more than 6,500 feet down, a sound emerges. Not wind, not water, but the echo of ancient warriors marching through another world. A sound no one has explained, yet no one forgets. Today, the Hangduan Range is a National Geological Heritage Site and southwest China's crown, jewel of wild adventure, a place where travelers don't just see. They listen to the whispers of stone, of blossoms, and of legends that never slept. With its golden summit soaring to 10,167 feet, Mount Emei rises like a colossal altar among the clouds, a sacred platform where mist forever clings to ancient cliffs and temple rooftops. This is more than a scenic wonder. It is one of the 4 sacred Buddhist mountains of China, a meeting place of spirit and nature where each sunrise may still reveal the Buddha's halo. A golden aura painting the sky in silence and awe, as if the mountain itself were suspended between this world and the next. Surrounding Mount Emei lies a lush forest of 154 square kilometers, home to more than 20 waterfalls cascading over 165 feet. White silk ribbons flowing through groves of pine and bamboo, accompanied by the soft trill of birds and mountain winds. Scattered along its slopes stand 26 ancient temples, some over 1,500 years old, each devoted to Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, the embodiment of wisdom, compassion, and enlightenment. Every April, the mountain hosts its grandest Buddhist festival. Thousands of pilgrims gather to meditate, chant, and pray surrounded by clouds and the distant resonance of temple bells. Visitors can trek over 37 miles of mountain trails, climb to the golden summit to witness the Buddha's halo at dawn, encounter over 500 playful wild monkeys, or join meditation retreats and chanting ceremonies immersed in the soundscape of ancient Buddhist music. At 6 a.m., as radiant light ripples over the golden summit, many believe they've glimpsed a living vision of Samantabhadra, a moment when earth, sky, and soul breathe in unison, and awakening feels just a breath away. Today, Mount Emei is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, not only for its breathtaking beauty, but because it bridges landscape, culture, and spirit. A place where people still come to find clarity, stillness, and the deeper self within. Beneath the vast skies of Sichuan, the Juding Mountains rise like a frozen crown. 9 snow-cloaked peaks soaring between 14,700 and 16,400 feet, each one distinct in form. Some sharp like a warrior's spearhead, others gentle as a divine shoulder, draped in cloud. At their feet stretches a 25-mile-long green valley, where 15 crystal-clear streams meander through vibrant conifer forests. A living ink painting drawn by wind, water, and light. To the Tibetan people, Juding is sacred ground. Legend tells of 9 guardian deities, each one residing atop a summit, watching over the harmony between human life and the natural world. More than 300 prayer flags flutter along the ridges, each one carrying a whispered wish for peace, harvest, and wisdom. In October, the mountain hosts a seasonal prayer festival, when pilgrims from remote villages hike through chill winds bearing mala beads, ancestral prayers, and generational faith. Travelers here can trek 9 miles through the valley beneath blooming red rhododendrons, pausing at icy streams, gazing up at snow-capped peaks glowing under sunset skies. You might camp beneath a field of stars, sipping hot Tibetan butter tea, listening to the wind carry stories too old for words. And at midnight, some claim to have seen flickering lights across the peaks, as though the 9 deities had returned, casting their gaze upon the sacred land. No explanation has ever held, but those who've seen it say it's a moment reason cannot reach, but the soul instantly understands. Today, Juding is a protected ecological reserve and a haven for seekers of photography, wilderness, and spirit. It is a place to rediscover balance between the vastness of the world and the quiet within ourselves. Zongnan Snow Valley stretches over 30 miles, surrounded by more than 10 peaks soaring above 16,400 feet, each permanently cloaked in snow, standing like motionless ice sentinels, guarding a world untouched by time. Beneath the highland sun, 5 deep lakes, some as deep as 65 feet, shimmer like giant mirrors, reflecting clouds, snowy summits, and the quiet silhouettes of wandering yaks. Across vast grasslands, thousands of yaks graze slowly, their pace mirroring time itself. A scene both wild and reverent, like a forgotten hymn whispered by the earth. 2. The Tibetan people, Zongnan is not merely a valley, it is sacred ground. Believed to be home to the Snow Maidens, divine guardians said to protect the valley's purity and peace. Along the slopes, 3 ancient monasteries still stand, weathered by centuries of snow and wind. These are places of prayer, chanting, and quiet rituals, especially during autumn, when the leaves begin to burn gold and red and the wind turns cold, inviting souls back to stillness. Visitors to Zongnan can hike through the valley, explore crystal-clear alpine lakes. Listen to the wind rustle through grass and chimes near temple eaves, or simply sit by a boulder sipping yak butter tea. And feel an unspoken connection to the land and its stories. When night falls and the first snowflakes begin to drift, some say they've seen a faint silhouette move through the white veil. Not quite human, not quite shadow. Only this, their hearts fell silent as if they had touched something sacred that needed no explanation. Today, Zongnan is a vital ecological reserve in Tibet, where natural beauty and spiritual presence coexist. Held together in the pure stillness of snow and the quietude of those who walk slowly enough to listen. Beneath the endless blue sky of southwest China, Gonga Mountain, north face, rises with solemn grace to 24,190 feet, making it the highest peak in Sichuan. Revered as the frozen crown atop the Tibetan plateau, Gonga is cloaked in eternal snow, standing silent amid clouds and roaring winds, like a slumbering god guarding the sacred lands of the ancients. Surrounding its flanks are 100 square kilometers of untouched fir forests, and beneath them a 20-kilometer-long valley blooms with wildflowers, vivid reds, violets, and golds, weaving a vibrant tapestry through the hush of alpine stillness. At dawn, as the first rays of sunlight touch the summit, Gonga ignites in gold, its reflection shimmering through thick mountain mist. A sacred moment so breathtaking, silence becomes the only prayer. To the Tibetan people, Gonga is a holy mountain, a divine being watching over villages and souls. Along its slopes, over 10 remote monasteries remain intact, weathered by snow and time. Pilgrimage sites for those seeking blessings and balance. In September, a grand harvest festival brings together thousands, celebrating through ritual dances, offerings, and traditional feasts shared in faith and joy. Travelers may embark on a 4-day trek, winding through virgin forests, glacial streams, and flower-laced meadows. Camping beside icy rivers, or simply sitting still, letting the wind speak, carrying the chill of snow and the echo of stories older than memory. At 1 a.m., some have witnessed a strange flickering light above the summit, accompanied by a distant, ethereal voice rising with the wind. A phenomenon never explained, but one that once heard etches itself into the soul forever. Today, Gonga is more than a mountain. It is a sacred cultural symbol, a biological sanctuary, and a mythic presence, where nature, humanity, and legend breathe in a single, silent rhythm across the vastness of Tibet's hidden skies. Some flames die not because they've run out of fuel, but because no one stayed to tend the fire. We've just walked through silent ruins where time failed to erase memory, and absence itself became the most powerful proof of a once glorious past. Each place whispered to us of fallen dynasties, forgotten faiths, and spirits once revered. Part 2 closes like a slow-moving dusk as the final rays of sunlight kiss the crumbling stones and vanish behind the mountains. But just as the night begins to fall, something else stirs. Because some places don't need light to be seen, they reveal themselves only when we close our eyes and look with instinct. Part 3 will open a door into the metaphysical, where the unconscious meets myth, where the self dissolves into mist, and the nameless begins to speak.